Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Audit and Financial Sustainability Committee meeting for Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. I'll now call the meeting to order, and we acknowledge that we're in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Administrative and procedural issues, 2.1, approval of the agenda. Before I ask for that, is there any other changes or additions to the agenda for this meeting?
None that I'm aware of, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. The motion would be that the agenda be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Lee, seconded by Councillor Lockhart. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary minded? Hearing none, the motion is carried. I will direct your attention to the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, which will govern us throughout this afternoon's proceedings. 2.3, approval of minutes, that the minutes of the November 25th, 2026 Audit Committee meeting be approved. Moved by Councillor Fromm, seconded by Deputy Mayor Gould. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Business issues 3.1, MCC Audit Plan Communication 2026. Amy, go ahead.
Thank you.
No name on the thing here, so sometimes we have the names, which makes it a little easier for me to follow.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am actually just going to introduce Cindy Costin, our auditor, and hand it over to her to present the audit plan communications. So I think all of you were around last year for the audit, so you know Cindy Costin from McIsaac Dara. They will be doing the audit again this year, and she wanted to come and present the audit plan communication for the 25-26 audit. Cindy.
Thank
Welcome,
you,
Cindy.
Amy. Thank you. So again, we've been engaged to audit the consolidated financial statements of the municipality of the County of Cumberland for the year ended March 31st, 2026. The consolidated entity this year includes the county operations and Cumberland Senior Care Corporation at 100%. If you turn to page 2 of the audit plan and communication, it talks about our responsibilities, the management responsibility, audit committee responsibility, and the auditor responsibility. So management is responsible to prepare the financial statements, including the responsibilities related to internal control. The audit committee is central to ensuring the integrity of the financial information and acts as an advisory role to council. And then us as the auditor, we're here to express an opinion on the financial statements based on the audit. The audit is performed to obtain reasonable but not absolute assurance as to whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. Misstatements may be due to error or fraud. So we're not engaged to look for fraudulent activity, but if we do come across something that looks materially fraud, we will bring it to your attention. The next page talks about our preliminary audit planning and our audit scope. And I'm going to note that there's an error in the audit scope there because it still refers to CGSMA and a portion of sunset for the year, and that was last year's comment, so I do need to remove that. As I said, the audit scope is the municipality of the County of Cumberland and Cumberland Senior Care Corporation. Materiality, our planning materiality for the consolidated financial statements has been set to $1 million. This was very similar to last year. But we've got the removal of sunset, but the increase to the budget for the current year, so the materiality remained fairly consistent. If we're looking at the non-consolidated, the materiality is $975,000. So we use a factor of the planning materiality based on risk in specific financial statements areas to assist us in determining how much we're going to test when we're testing sections of the audit. The risk of material misstatements. So on the next page, we've identified some areas that have a higher risk. So the completeness and existence of revenue relating to capital agreements and other general revenue outside of the tax levy. So we feel that the tax levy is pretty low risk, but the other sources of revenue could be higher risk. The override of controls around manual journal entries, and then the completeness and accuracy of the financial statement presentation and disclosure in accordance with public sector accounting standards. Logistics, so planning is in the very, very preliminary stages for 2026. There is no doubt in my mind that we're going to meet the September 30th and have that signed before Greg is set to leave. So, and that's when your financial statements are due. And there are no new public sector accounting standards that are going to affect your 2026 financial statements. New standards are coming up, and I expect that Amy is well aware, and the finance team will be taking some courses, I'm sure, on the newly set of financial statements that are coming in 2027 or 2028. I'm not sure on the date, but any questions?
I don't see any.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship. That was really just for information for the audit committee. It gets presented every year, either by myself or by the auditor. So I think we'll let her go and we will move on.
Awesome.
And I'll see some
Thank you
tomorrow.
very much, Cindy. It was a very brief visit, but it was nice to see you.
Yes, good to see you all.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
3.2, financial report, Q4 2025-2026. Amy, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in your package, you will find the Q4 financial report for 25-26. These are the financial statements for the full 12 months. There are still some adjustments that we're working on as we finalize the information for the audit. So the audited financial statements will look a little different in places. This report, we revamped it quite a bit this round, so I'm going to go into a little bit of detail walking through the report just so you guys have a good understanding of it. So page 9 of your package is kind of the first page of the report. It's really just an introduction and some general information and the table of contents of what is in the report. Page 10 of the package is the schedule of operations. So this is like kind of like the income statement of the municipality. As you can see at the bottom of that first column, the surplus is about $850,000 compared to budget. This is after the transfer for the Spring Hill area rate has been done. But also keep in mind at budget time, we were projecting a surplus of about $750,000. So we did have that built into the projected reserves when we were looking at those, looking at capital projects. So it's a little higher than we were projecting, but pretty close. Any surplus at the end of the year will be transferred into reserves. Revenue, you can see, is about $713,000 under budget. This is primarily due to taxes over budget by about $500,000, and that's almost entirely due to the deed transfer tax being higher than budget. Own source revenue is over budget by about $400,000 due to primarily to investment income being higher than budget. EPR revenue, you recall that was a new revenue this year. We budgeted what we thought we were going to get last year, and it was a little higher this year. And miscellaneous revenue, primarily unsightly charges that we put a budget in, but we aren't always accurate, and it's an in and an out anyway because it usually goes on the tax account. And then transfer from own funds is under budget by $1.6 million. And this is primarily the budgeted broadband payment of $893,000 that didn't come due during the year. And that's also on the expense side. And the change in debt recovery for Sunset. So it was budgeted last year, but we changed the way it was being done this year, so that no longer hit the revenue or the expense side. So again, it's on both sides. The expenditures, so the lower part of the table, were $1.6 million under budget. Contracted services were under budget by about $911,000. $893 of that is the internet broadband project, as mentioned. The interest on long-term debt is under budget, and the principal on long-term debt is under budget by $187,000 and $614,000 respectively. That's the sunset debt payment that we changed the presentation of. Professional services is quite a bit under budget, about $233,000. That is strategic cost center, so primarily that's the plan review that we had budgeted, and we're working on it, but we're not there yet and haven't paid much for it yet. Grants and transfers to organizations are over budget by $500,000, and you'll recall we've talked about it a couple times this year. That's the $300,000 to Sunset for septic, and the $218,565, which was the 1 cent increase for grants last year. that it was budgeted, but it wasn't budgeted to be spent, so that's what that is. And feel free to interrupt if you have questions as I'm going through this as well. Page 11 of the package is basically the same information. It's expenditure information. It's just broken down by department. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail there, other than you'll see the public health is 0, and our budget was 838,000. That's the sunset number, so that's the big difference there. So just pointing that out. Page 12 of the package is the schedule of operations for water. We're pretty close to budget on this one. You'll see there is a surplus of about 68,000 right now at the end of the fourth quarter. The big swing there is that wages were under budget about 97,000. It was primarily staff timing and vacancies during the year that made up for that. So that's water. And page 13 of the package is the statement of financial position, which is kind of like a balance sheet. So basically at a point in time, this is the assets and liabilities of the organization at March 31st. So cash is up from last year about 1.4 million. Accounts receivable are down about 1.7 million. We are, as we've discussed, making a concerted effort to collect receivables and having lots of tax sales. So that's it's a good trend to see. Accounts payable are down about 1.6 million. That number is driven a lot in timing of when bills come in and when they're paid, so it can swing a bit from year to year. And you can see capital assets are up about 7 million. That's just the capital work we've been doing, and you can see the capital work in progress has dropped. So it just means that the projects were finalized, so they got moved up into capital from that work in progress line. Moving on, pages 14 to 16 are the summary of the capital budget to actuals. You can see the red carryovers are the projects we carried over when we did the budget earlier this year. I will point out on page 15, so you can see the Spring Hill Fire Hall was budgeted at 6.6 million. The actuals are only at 850,000. Most of those expenses came through last year. Obviously, the fire hall is complete, and so that one. And then the firefighting apparatus, we haven't spent much of the 1.5 million. But I'm sure, as you are aware, the firefighting apparatus is a timing thing.
We haven't written checks for it, but we spent.
Right, you're right. We've ordered the trucks. We haven't necessarily paid for the trucks. Pages 17 to 19 then go into some information about the tax rates, and those are really just coming from the budget, and it's presented for information in the report. So that is the Q4 financial report for the municipality at March 31st. Unless there are questions.
I don't see any, Amy.
I must have done a good job.
You did, I believe you did.
Okay. So if everybody's good, we'll move on in the agenda to the next item.
Yep, sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
4.1, tax collection report. I'm still reading the last page of what you were just presenting, so
Okay.
looking at a couple things there, I wasn't paying attention, sorry.
And like
Go ahead.
always, if anybody has questions after the meeting, feel free to send them as well. So the next item on the agenda, the tax collection report. This one is similar to what I have presented in the past. This is on page 21 to 23 of your package, and you will find a tax outstanding receivable report. So at March 31st, 2026, there was approximately 3 million outstanding from the prior year taxes, which was 25-26. About 1.6 million of that is the current year on the prior year tax levy, which was about 29 million. This represents a collection of approximately 94% of the year taxes. The 26-27 tax levy was billed in May, and at May 31st, 2026, there is about 31 million outstanding because it went out in late May. There's still a lot of it outstanding, but it's coming in. The tax bills are due June 30th, so we're steadily coming down on that number. Your worship, that's taxes.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Amy. 4.2 is the water collection report for May 31st. Go ahead.
Yes, so on pages 24 to 27, you'll find the water receivable report. There was, at March 31st, about 570,000 outstanding in the water utility. There was a billing accrued for at March 31st, so our year end runs till March 31st. So water was billed for the fourth quarter, which is why the balance increased. At the end of May, the receivable is down to about $110,000, and the first quarter bills for 26-27 are going in the mail in early July, so those aren't in there yet. Typically, the water accounts stay fairly current, as there is a process for water shutoff when accounts are not being paid. So water typically gets collected within 3 to 6 months of the billing. So, worship, unless there's questions on water.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions on that? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Amy.
You're welcome.
That wraps that up. 5.1, date of the next meeting. Mr. Hayes?
So that is tentatively scheduled for September 23rd, 2026, at this time.
September 23rd, 2026. Okay, good.
We've actually, I think we've got them picked out beyond that date too, don't we, Amy?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so we'll have the clerk's office send meeting invites for the next 3 or 4 meetings.
Awesome.
We intended to do that just to kind of give some certainty to the reporting schedule and that sort of thing. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So that's it then. I'll need a motion to adjourn. Moved by the Deputy Mayor Gould. We are now adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.